Welcome to another Reading Reddit live stream highlights video. If you're new here, my name is Sarby. I do reaction live streams, and one of the things I love to react to is Reddit stories. In this video, I read 9 Am I the A-hole Reddit stories for you so that you and I can react to them together. If you enjoyed the video, all I ask is that you hit that subscribe button or follow if you're on Spotify so that you can see all my future videos, as well as I'd love to see you in a future live stream. Am I the a-hole for not tipping after overhearing what my waitress said about me? I, 30 female, was at a restaurant last night with my mother. She was meeting my boyfriend's mom for the first time. We're punctual people, so we got there about 30 minutes before our reservation. We got seated with no issues. It took the waitress 20 minutes to get to our table, even though the restaurant was pretty empty. Right away, I could tell she didn't want to wait on us. She didn't greet us with a hello. She just asked what we wanted to drink. We told her, and I noticed that she didn't write our order down. It took another 15 minutes for our drinks to get to our table, and they were wrong. It's hard to mess up a ginger ale and a vodka soda, but she did. My mom pointed out that she didn't order a Pepsi, and the waitress rolled her eyes, took my mother's glass, and disappeared. I excused myself to use the washroom shortly after. I had no idea where I was going, so I went to the entrance to ask one of the hostesses there. While I was walking up to the server area, I overheard my waitress talking to some other hostesses. She was pissed that she had to wait on a black table because they never tip well. My mother and I were the only black people in the restaurant. She wasn't even whispering when she said it either. I mean, look, I was already okay with no tip in general because she was a terrible waitress, but then she brought race into it. I wasn't stunned, but her lack of effort started to make sense. I interrupted their conversation and I asked where the bathroom was. I didn't let on that I had heard what they were talking about. When I got out of the bathroom, my boyfriend and his mom were already seated. My boyfriend and his mother are white. When my waitress saw the rest of our party, she did a 180. Her service was stellar. She took notes, told jokes, and our water glasses were always filled. She didn't make another mistake. Because the night went so well, I decided to treat everyone and pay the check. She gave me the machine and I smiled at her while I keyed in 0% for a tip. She didn't notice until after the receipt had been printed out. By that time, all of us had already started to leave. She tapped me on the shoulder and asked if I had made a mistake on the bill. I told her I didn't think so and looked at the receipt. She asked if there was a problem with her service and I said her service was fantastic. But since I was a black woman, I don't tip well. She deserved that. Absolutely 100%. Her face went white and she kind of laughed nervously, and I laughed as well. I walked out after that, but my boyfriend's mom asked what had happened. I told her what I had overheard, and my boyfriend's mom said that I should have tipped her anyway because it shows character. She seemed pretty pissed at me after that. My boyfriend and my mom are both on my side, but I'm wondering if I should have just thrown in a $2 tip. Yeah, no, honestly, fuck it, be petty. I'm all for the petty play here, not the a-hole. In the grand scheme of things, is it better to maybe address that head on, correct it, and then be the bigger person? Sure, but that person didn't deserve a tip. Why would you give someone your hard-earned money who is clearly racist and refuses to give good service to you just because you are a certain race? If someone makes a comment about me being Asian at a restaurant and I overhear it, they're not getting any of my money. If anything, I'm going to their manager and I'm like, hey, this girl's racist as fuck. Am I the a-hole for breaking up with my ex-boyfriend because he tried to tamper with my birth control? We have a 23 female OP and a 26 male boyfriend. I broke up with my boyfriend of almost 2 years on Sunday, 2 days ago. I broke up with him because, as the title suggested, he tried to mess with my birth control. I told Todd that I intend to be child-free until I obtain my PhD and get a position with tenure at a university. I told him I was on birth control and had no intention of getting off of it, and that it would be better if we doubled down with condoms. He said okay. 2 days ago, we were chilling in my apartment and I told him I was going to take a bath and listen to one of my audiobooks. I heard the microwave go off and thought that Todd was making mac and cheese or something. Please tell me this isn't going where I think it's going. Is homeboy microwaving her birth control? I hopped in the tub and was about to start when I remembered I have a bath bomb that I was gifted at my friend's baby shower. I got out of the tub to get it for my room and I found Todd messing with the pill packet I keep next to my bed. I have a missing gallbladder after several attacks and I have to take prescription laxatives sometimes to be able to control my poop. The packet looks similar, and by similar I mean almost the exact same, to a birth control packet, including the silver foil and the color of the pills. I asked him what he was doing and for him to hand me my pills. The package was warm. I asked him what the hell he was doing with my pills and he broke down about how he's successful in his job and I should want to have a family with him after 2 years. I told him to get out of my apartment, and before I slammed the door on him, I let him know I had an arm implant. No. I let him know I had an arm implant birth control and that he microwaved my shit pills. That is the funniest fucking thing I've ever heard. Listen, babe, you dated him for 2 years. If that man was so fucking incompetent that he didn't even know that you had the arm implant, you're good, bro. Let him go. He can be somebody else's problem, not the a-hole. Borderline R word, if you ask me. Hey, if you want your problem solved, go find another woman. Newsflash, brother. There are others out there who will unfortunately carry your stupid spawn. Am I the a-hole for telling my husband that I will divorce him tomorrow because he doesn't clean anymore? Advice needed. I'm at my wit's end. Everything changed after marriage and I couldn't tell you why. Our biggest problem is cleaning. My husband used to clean up after himself, but after marriage, he just completely stopped with no warning. We were dating for 3 years, engaged for 1, and now freshly married. We're 28 and 29. After we got married, my husband stopped cleaning. He wouldn't pick up after himself, wouldn't do his agreed upon chores, and suddenly became a slob. It was like he has been intentionally dirtying things up. I stopped doing all of my housework out of protest a month into our marriage, and now I live in complete and utter filth. I'm rarely home due to the mess. I part-time live with my sister at this point, and he doesn't even care. I come home only to sleep at night, and sometimes I don't even come home at all. It's like we aren't even married anymore, and it's draining my mental health to the point where I've had multiple breakdowns this month. I'm completely over it. I wanted to get married, but this is not the man I married. I would much rather be home where I belong, but I'm not a maid. Girl, just get the divorce. If this has been going on for months and you don't even live in your home and homeboy doesn't care at all, just yoink it. The mess is as follows. Wet food in the sink from him throwing his plate, finished or not, in there. Bugs. Garbage littered everywhere. Puddles of mystery substances. The trash is never taken out. All of his laundry is dirty. Clothes unfolded. Crumbs galore. Takeout everywhere since he won't cook. Dishes piled to the skies. I can guarantee you there's more, but I can't describe it right. It's like he's a toddler. It's exactly like mommy isn't cleaning up, so he's tornadoing through our house and not caring. Before, he would scrape his plate, rinse it, then leave it. He would take the trash out and take the cans to the curb. He'd sweep, vacuum, occasionally do laundry, and he would never eat in bed. Now he does it all. Ginger Mayhem, maybe he has regrets and depression. That's still not an excuse. Like, when you're married and you're making your wife's life actively worse, sure, if he's depressed, that's a problem, but like, what are we doing? A few hours ago, I told him that if he doesn't clean up tonight, then I'm divorcing him tomorrow. I said if I don't see some progress on the house, then we're over. He told me that I'm being an a-hole for no reason and that cleaning is no longer his job. I nearly popped an effing blood vessel. We did not decide on that. He's telling me that I'm throwing everything away over pride and that all new marriages go through this transition. Bull fucking shit. He told his mom and she called me not too long ago and told me I need to calm down and reconcile. I really love my mother-in-law and she's one of the most level-headed people I know, hence the reason I'm writing this post. She's making me wonder if divorce is too far because it's only mess, but it's mess. She told me that we can reach a compromise, need to take a breather and talk about it all, but I truthfully do not want to. She reminded me of our good times and that life won't always be the way it is now, but I'm feeling incredibly skeptical. I cannot stand filth and I can't live like this even if it's for him. Am I the a-hole? That mother-in-law is on crack, bro. If your son is being that shitty, you as also a mother, also a wife, should not be, oh, we will give my son another chance. You should be going over to that son and beating him, not the a-hole. What the hell? Get the divorce. It sounds like you've been dealing with this for a long time. It sounds like you've tried to talk it through and it sounds like the husband is not going to change. Rip that band-aid off, send him the divorce papers, have a better life in a clean space. Mystery substances would throw me way past my limits. Me too, Izzy. Am I the a-hole for telling my boyfriend, you knew my job, why do you care now, when he broke up with me because of it? Hi everyone. So I want to start by saying I, female 21, have a really unique job that not a lot of people agree with. It's okay if you don't. It's not your job and it doesn't have to be. I respect your opinion, just please don't be rude about it. I currently work as a maid, a topless maid, as in I clean people's homes with no clothes but my bottoms on. I do this because my friend found it as a side hustle. I am currently in college and it is how I pay for each of my semesters, enabling me to graduate with zero debt. I graduate next semester. At that point, I will quit my job. I typically clean very expensive homes for very rich people, and I have never really had a bad experience at my job, thank God. Of course, there's leering, but I mean, that's the appeal. It really doesn't bother me. I told my boyfriend, male 25, this on our second date because I know that some people, especially men, have a problem with it. I have to admit, he was a little put off at first, but ultimately he decided he was okay with it, as long as it isn't my life goal, LOL, which it certainly isn't. We have been dating now for 6 months and it has been very good. He honestly is a great boyfriend and I did see a future with him. Unfortunately, last night, he broke up with me. It started because I told him to come to my house at 7 and I would make us dinner. Well, I ended up being late because there was an accident on the bridge I take from one of my clients' houses. My boyfriend heard it on the news and told me to take my time. He will chill at the apartment. It's not a rush. When I got home, I was exhausted from driving and went right to my bedroom to put some comfy clothes on. My boyfriend was there. It didn't bother me. I just took my shirt off to throw a PJ shirt on. My boyfriend looked at me as I did, and I could see in his face that something changed that instant. He saw me topless and with my uniform bottoms on, and it seemed like he just now made that connection about what I do and look like. He broke up with me right then and there. I sobbed all night and all day. When he called me just recently, I asked him why. He told me my job. I told him that he's known my job. Why even waste my time and break my heart? He called me a slut and an a-hole for that. He told me, you can't even see this from my perspective. I actually loved you. I'm just so hurt. Am I the a-hole for any of this? I thought I was so clear about everything my job is. I don't know why seeing her in that moment would be like the deal breaker. I mean, he probably was just feeling insecure about it already, and this was his tipping point and it was gonna happen regardless. I'm all about it. Like, girl, get your bag. College is expensive and get that degree however you need to, bro. He was probably already looking for an out, and that was his out. Am I the a-hole for calling the police and exposing my neighbor on social media for poisoning my dog? I, female 24, live in a quiet neighborhood with my 5-year-old golden retriever, Max. Max is more than just a pet. He's family. He's well behaved, never aggressive, and loved by almost everyone around. Almost. My next door neighbor, let's call him Bob, male, 50s, has always been a bit off. He's known for his temper and odd behavior, but he mostly keeps to himself. We've never really had any direct conflicts until recently. A few weeks ago, Max started getting sick. He was lethargic, vomiting, and refused to eat. I took him to the vet, and after some tests, it was confirmed that he had been poisoned. I was devastated. I couldn't understand who would do such a thing to an innocent dog. Then a neighbor, let's call her Jane, approached me. Jane told me she saw Bob throwing something over my fence into my yard around the time Max got sick. She didn't think much of it at the time, but felt guilty for not saying anything sooner. With this information, I decided to install a security camera in my backyard, hoping to catch Bob in the act if he tried anything again. To my horror, a few days later, I reviewed the footage and saw Bob tossing what looked like food over my fence. I immediately called the police and handed over the evidence. Doing this to any dog would be evil, but to a golden retriever, I have never met a mean golden retriever. They're all just super nice, and I just want to hug them, and I just want to like squeeze their face a little bit. Bob was arrested, but the story doesn't end there. I was furious and heartbroken. I couldn't just let this slide. I posted the footage on social media, exposing Bob for the animal killer he is. The post went viral in our local community, and the backlash was intense. People were outraged, and Bob's reputation was destroyed. He faced public shaming and even lost his job. Fucking good. Haven't even finished the story. Not the a-hole. He deserved it. Fuck that man. Now, Bob's family is saying I went too far. They argue that calling the police was one thing, but publicly humiliating him was excessive and cruel. They claim that Bob has been dealing with severe mental health issues, which I wasn't aware of. I'm sorry. Severe mental health issues are not a reason to poison a dog. I'll say it. I don't care. Wee woo, you have mental health issues. Poison yourself, not the dog. You poison a dog, you're getting all the smoke. Part of me feels justified. Max could have died and Bob needed to be held accountable, but another part of me wonders if I took it too far by posting it online. If you are doing awful things, I think you are able to be exposed in a court of law and to the public, because like, what if Bob moves and he lives next to another dog and starts poisoning that dog? Like that? No. Am I the a-hole for telling my husband I'm leaving him when he was in the middle of a meltdown? My husband and I have been together for 8 years now. I have 2 sons from my previous marriage, 13 and 9, and I just gave birth to me and my husband's daughter 3 months ago. Prior to me giving birth and even a few weeks following, our home life was great. We often had friends telling us they wish they could find someone that made them as happy as him and I made each other. There was hardly ever any disagreements. Our communication was solid. He was fantastic with my boys, attending every parent-teacher conference, doctor's appointment, school event, etc., and even took them out often to play baseball and basketball. This all changed after maybe 2 to 3 weeks after I gave birth. He turned angry, depressed, and impatient. Me and the kids started having to constantly walk on eggshells. He became lazy, such as stopped cleaning up after himself or helping around the house, yet still used sentences to my kids such as, you guys need to pick up after yourself, me and your mother shouldn't have to follow you around and clean up your messes, when he never cleaned at all. I couldn't even get him to wash his own dinner plate without him basically having a meltdown. Every day, he was just angry. If one thing went wrong, like him not being able to find something he set down somewhere, which became an everyday event, he was freaking out, saying things like, yup, awesome, so glad life wants to fuck me over, or why the fuck does this always happen to me? Can't I just have a good fucking day for once? once. But he always made it me and the kid's problem. If he lost something, it didn't matter what time of day it was, he was 100% flipping out and expecting me to find it for him. I even told him my oldest son had to go to the ER because he had a bad rash, and he goes, have your mom take him because he was using my vehicle. Or the other day, my mood has been soured due to his early morning freak out, and it put me on a rough route. I was exhausted, running on 3 hours of sleep, and he rushed me out of the house to go do his errands with him. I didn't even get out of the car, so it was pointless. And then gets pissed and screams, what the fuck is your problem? Can't we just have a good day for once? As if I'm the reason his life sucks. And this is not the man I married. Isn't there, like, not necessarily postpartum, because I think that's very different when you birth a child, but isn't there some sort of thing that guys can get where after the birth of their child, they mentally kind of go a little crazy? That's what it sounds like here. It sounds like he had his kid and something kind of snapped in him, but I'm also not super duper educated about it. There's a psychological thing similar to postpartum depression that fathers can experience. I'm almost willing to give OP's husband the benefit of the doubt because he's been so good with OP's kids prior to this. To me, it's more logical that something's going on with this husband right now that is related to the birth of his new child. Don't get me wrong, I don't think it's acceptable by any means. He definitely needs to figure it out. The wife needs to call him out on it, and there's probably some therapy that he should go to figure this out. I know chat is like divorce, but I think there's something up. So last night around 11:30 p.m., he starts freaking out again. He lost an important item he needed for work. He starts slamming things around our bedroom, repeatedly saying things like, fucking great, fucking awesome, fucking love it, until I got up and I started helping him look. As soon as I get up out of bed, he stops looking and just walks behind me holding his phone's flashlight. We can't find it. He doesn't go to work as a result. Another trait he's gotten since giving birth, he literally calls out over the wind blowing wrong. I laid back down, he practically body slams the bed beside me, starts huffing and puffing, heavy sighing, growling while practically clawing at his face, talking about how fucking stupid this life is. I asked him to stop and he says, fuck you. So I tell him I'm done. I'm leaving and that me and my children's shit will be out of the home by today. He says, what the fuck ever, and goes to sleep. I wake up at 5 a.m. and start packing. He comes out around 7 asking what I'm doing, and I tell him again that I'm done and I'm leaving. He says I'm leaving him in his time of need, and he would never do that to me, but he kind of did because I was diagnosed with PPD not even 4 days after giving birth, and he completely overrode it and made it about him and how much his life sucks. Example, I know you're feeling some type of way, but I have shit going on too. No one asks me how the fuck I am. Or literally making passive aggressive comments like, wish I could sleep all day when I was 6 days postpartum after I fell asleep on the couch. Yeah, bro, you can't compare yourself to your wife who literally just pushed a whole baby out of her cooter. This whole paragraph has slowly diminished my willingness to give him the benefit of the doubt. Like I said, mental health, while it is important to keep in mind, it's not an excuse for shitty behavior. He does no nighttime duty. As I said, he says I'm leaving him in his time of need and that I should have urged him to get therapy instead of walking away, but his anger has made me hate him. I don't even want to be near him. Edit, I've tried talking to him about this. It's an immediate blame shift. The second that I bring up anything that is bothering me, he says I'm attacking him. Says things like, as if you don't have fucking issues that I have to deal with every day. Tells me it's all in my head and has even called me a narcissist quite a few times in the past 2 months, claiming that I'm accusing him of things because things aren't going my way. Often says he does everything and that me and my kids, don't respect him. So I've tried talking to him. He's completely defensive and refuses to actually speak on issues outside of one single time when he was drinking and admitted that he's been an a-hole and that we don't deserve to be treated this way. I can't call OP the a-hole for wanting to get a divorce because nobody should have to put up with this behavior. I still think there is something severely wrong with this husband and he needs to go get help, but it is not OP's job, especially while she's going through postpartum depression, to handhold this man to get him in the right spot. Granted, I've never had kids before, but in my eyes, the way I look at it is the wife for 9 months, her job is to keep that kid healthy inside her, push her out, and then after that, you kind of have to step up to the plate as the father of the child and cover for the mom while she heals, while she goes through postpartum depression. Becoming a dad is probably a huge mental shift, but like, you can't be the dead weight when your wife just gave birth to a child. Am I the a-hole for telling my husband that I see him as a liability and not a partner? I, 34 female, have been with my husband, 37 male, we'll call him Nathan, for 8 years. Ever since our daughter, 3 female, was born, I have been unable to trust Nathan Nathan with anything, no matter how small. Background context. When I was 19, after a semi-truck driver fell asleep at the wheel and turned my car into scrap metal with me inside it, I have enough metal holding me together that I light up like a Christmas tree for TSA and am physically impaired with good days and bad days. I used a portion of my settlement check to buy a house outright and have it retrofit to accommodate my needs, as I'll eventually require a wheelchair. I work in software development as it's fun, and nobody cares if I work from bed on bad days. My husband has not worked in 5 years, which has been fine until our daughter was born. Between the settlement money, a paid off house, and my salary, I enjoyed having him here with me. He contributed by handling most of the domestics. We pay for a weekly cleaner with monthly deep cleaning because it gave us more time together. So what is this husband doing all day? Not saying that you shouldn't pay for those things, but like what is homeboy doing? Hey man, be the trophy husband, but like also if you're gonna be a trophy husband, at least bring something to the table. Ever since our daughter was born, it was like a light switch turned off in his head. For our daughter, he would buy the wrong size diapers, not fully mixed bottles, put diapers on backwards, leave out poop covered wipes, forget to latch cabinets. The past week, he has gone to the store 3 times because he keeps coming home with the wrong size socks and shoes for her. I eventually just ordered the right ones on Amazon. For me, he has tried to help me with my weekly pill organizer fill up and several times has spilled the contents of new medications all over the floor. Then, not seeing that he didn't get all of them off the floor, he has repeatedly brought me grapefruit juice to take my medications with, a huge no. He has repeatedly forgotten that I can't have dairy and puts milk in my coffee or cheese on a cheeseburger. He has broken so many things of mine from being careless. He shattered my laptop because it slipped out of his hand when he tried to pick it up for a trip, even after I said I would pack my own electronics. Is there something wrong with him? Is he going through really early onset like dementia? Smells like weaponized incompetence. There's weaponized incompetence, and then there's just like, is your brain actually properly working? There's no way he's intentionally doing all those things. That is an incredible amount of incompetence. We've lost so many spoons and forks to the disposal. He tried to replace the head gasket in my car and over torqued the engine bolt, question mark, which shattered inside the block, and 2 different shops said they couldn't repair it. We ended up getting a new vehicle because a replacement engine would have cost $11,000. A week later, he crashed the new car into the garage door because he thought he'd press the brakes, not the accelerator. He wanted to do TikToks and streaming as a hobby. Just kidding, guys. This is about me. I'm really hoping there's a spot in here where she's like, we took him to the doctor and there's nothing wrong with him, because if that's the case, I'm willing to hop on the weaponized incompetence train. I supported him initially, but I quickly noticed a pattern. Anything regarding our daughter or me, he was sloppy and careless. He never whoopsied his own stuff. He would build entire sets to stream or make videos with, leave the garage, and leave his brain in the garage. It came to a head 4 nights ago. He streamed himself building a new set piece 9 hours straight. Meanwhile, I worked, clocked out early to pick up our daughter from summer camp, cooked and fed both of us, got her ready for bed. He came out to help put her to bed. I let him know that I needed to get some work done and would be in my office, and I asked him to take the trash out. He says he will. 2 hours later, I left my office and the house felt really warm. He'd taken the trash out but left our front door partially open and was back in the garage with his game volume really loud. I panicked since our daughter is able to get out of bed, and thankfully she was sound asleep, but she could have easily toddled right out of the house and he wouldn't have noticed. Then I noticed a stovetop burner was on with a small pot on it with nothing inside. I didn't use the stove for cooking that night. I pop my head in the garage and say, hey, I need you for a minute. I informed him of the door situation and he responds, I thought I locked it. We checked the camera and no, he did not. I asked about the burner being on and he said he was planning to make ramen and forgot. He pulled the still hot pot off the burner and put it straight into the sink on top of our father's favorite plastic plate, which is now ruined. I'll admit I overreacted and screamed, what are you doing? He realized what he'd done and pulls the pot off our daughter's plate and straight onto the countertop. I grab it quickly and run it underwater to cool it down. I tell him I can't tonight. I can't deal with him. I'm taking my meds and going to sleep. He gets a cup from the cupboard and sets it straight onto the burner that had been on. Is it weird that his incompetence is only in one area? Yes. But there's no way this is on purpose. I would be shocked and appalled if this was on purpose. I hit my limit. I started crying. He kept saying that it was fine. Things happen. It's just an accident. He's had a rough day from streaming. He's just tired. Why am I crying? It's just a cup. We can replace it. The anger hit and I said, it's because I have a liability and not a partner. He said, what the fuck does that mean? I screamed that it's because I can't trust him to do anything. that I'm always having to watch him like a child, always having to bear the costs of his mistakes, that every time I get careless and think I can trust him to be an adult, I'm always the one getting fucked over. I then said, I can't see you as a partner anymore. You're just another liability in my checkbook. I mean, he kind of is. He immediately stormed out of the kitchen and went to bed. I called my mom and told her what happened. She thinks it's just stress and offered to take our daughter for a week so we could figure this out without our daughter seeing it. She says it was an a-hole thing to call my husband a liability. In the morning, I told my husband that my mom would pick up our daughter from summer camp and offered to watch her for a week. He said, okay. And that's the only interaction we've had since. He spends all day in the garage playing games with his friends, making TikToks and streaming. For food, he's been ordering DoorDash and having the person deliver it in the garage. It's been days and he refuses to be in the same room as me. I've tried messaging him to ask if we can talk or figure out a solution, but he's just left me on red. If I pop into the garage, he ignores me, but apologizes to his friends or viewers for the interruption and unmutes his mic when the noise stops. All right, now I'm not on his side at all. That's just immature as fuck. I do think OP should have been more like, yo, bro, you almost put our daughter's life in danger. I think that's the hill you should have died on, not you ruined a plate, you ruined a cup. Either way, his reaction tells me this man is just a shitty partner in general. Do I still think something's wrong with him mentally? Absolutely. But at this point, bro, like, don't deal with it. Kick him out of the house. Don't let him take any of your money. Get full custody of your daughter. Before the blow up, I've asked if there was something going on. I tried to gently respond every time he screwed up so our daughter didn't associate mistake to anger. I asked him to schedule with a doctor to see if something was going wrong medically. He always said I was overreacting, people make mistakes, and didn't see an issue, even when the same mistakes kept happening. When I tried to get him to understand that it was concerning just how expensive his mistakes were getting, he'd wave it off as a, it's not like we can't afford it. I love him dearly. I just miss the person he was before we had a child, the one I could trust and rely on. Did I screw this up forever? It is really important to know that she urged him to go get checked out by a doctor and he refused to. I would pull the plug on the internet so he can't stream. Go in the garage and be like, you can't avoid me. You can't ignore me. We are talking about this right now. Help me figure out why you're sucking. Let's move forward so that you don't suck and you're not a liability, or get the hell out of my house. Would I be the a-hole if I told my wife's dead husband's parents to stop coming to see our daughter? I've been married to my wife for about 2 years now, and we had our daughter a year ago. Now, my wife was married before. She got married pretty young, but her husband died. I knew all of this and have been just fine with it until now. See, she's still pretty close to her dead husband's parents, and they were excited for the birth of our child. FYI, they only had the one son, no other children at all. They have been coming over to our place about once a week. It was fine at first, but it's gotten kind of suffocating. They have visited us more times than either her parents or my parents. They have even stayed over at our house at times, something I wouldn't even like even if they were my own parents. Another thing, they talk about their dead son a lot, which is usually fine, but they have made some comments that make me uncomfortable. They even said my daughter kind of looks like him, and his mom even said, oh, if she's this cute, imagine how cute your kids would have been if only. I don't like that. I don't like that at all, you guys. When talking to my wife, she was gonna say more, but I think she realized what she was about to say. I was right there. I want to be amicable. I knew that there was gonna be some moments like this, but it's starting to make me feel uncomfortable. If you're marrying someone whose husband died that they were super in love with, I think any normal person in that circumstance will still have a relationship with their dead husband's parents. Like, I think there would be a vibe of like, if this person wasn't dead, we wouldn't be together. And I think that's fine. If you truly love someone, you will also show respect and love to the person that, if they were still in this world, would be the reason that you guys weren't together. I think that's the healthy and appropriate way to go with this. And I think OP would be in the wrong if the interaction that happened in this paragraph hadn't have happened. If this hadn't have happened, I would easily be like, hey, bro, you're the a-hole. In a lot of ways, the kid that you guys had is the grandson that these parents never had. But this is weird. This is crossing the line. If I had to throw a label on this, I think I want to go with everyone sucks here. I think the husband is more than just uncomfortable about that one paragraph. He's uncomfortable with the whole thing. But I also think it's really weird to be like, he looks like the ex-husband. Imagine how cute the kids would have been if we had, like, not only is that uncomfortable, but I think that lingers into levels of disrespect. Like, this man is allowing you to be a part of the family that he helped start. The least you can do is not make it uncomfortable for him and like disrespect him. I don't think mine is going to be accepted by the masses. I'm guessing people are going to say not the a-hole. I don't think that's wrong necessarily. It's more of just a philosophy around family. Let's see what the comments are saying. It's not the a-hole. They are clinging to your guys in the wake of losing their son, but there needs to be boundaries in place. It begins with a conversation with your wife and working in unison. What does she say? My wife thinks it's fine. She says that she sees them the same as her own parents. What the fuck kind of insult is this? I was gonna say let them visit and enjoy the baby, but this is a bit much. I'm on the wave of this person. Let them visit, let them enjoy the baby that could have been, but the second they start crossing boundaries like this is where I'm like, that's weird. I'm a widower and have 2 kids with my new wife. My kids are in middle school now. I've known my late wife's parents since I was 16. We were living with them when she was ill, and I stayed there after she died unexpectedly, and we got much closer. I was very clear with my new wife when we were dating that they were family to me, and that wasn't going to change. It hasn't changed, and she's great with it. My kids have another set of grandparents, and yeah, they know exactly the situation, and I think that my late wife's mom is probably their favorite grandma. They're awesome people. That said, what you've described is concerning. His parents suffered the worst loss there could be. There's no getting over it, only learning to live with it, moving on with life. They sound like they haven't moved on. Your wife needs to talk to them. Also, it would be very generous of you to allow them to continue having a relationship with your kid, though if they can't heal and have a healthy relationship, it is understandable that you need them to cut off. But yeah, would be a kindness to work this out with them. In my experience, you can't have too many people loving your child. I think that person said it really well. Am I the a-hole for exposing my boyfriend and stepsister's affair and pregnancy? Before we get into the last story, if you enjoyed this video and want to see future videos, hit that subscribe button. On top of that, if you're trying to dive deeper into our community, I highly recommend joining our Discord or the free Patreon. Discord is a great place to meet friends, and the free Patreon I've actually been daily vlogging on. Shh, it's a secret. Links to those are in the description. Feel free to tag me once you're in there. I, female 23, have been dating my boyfriend Jake, male 25, for 3 years. We were really happy, or so I thought. We even talked about moving in together and starting a family someday. I thought he was the one. About 6 months ago, my mom remarried and I got a new stepsister, Laura, female 21. Laura and I didn't grow up together, but we tried to bond and build a relationship. She's fun and outgoing, so we started to hang out more, and she became a part of my friend circle, which included Jake. Everything seemed fine until a few weeks ago. I noticed Jake acting strangely. He was more secretive with his phone and started coming up with excuses to not hang out as much. I chalked it up to stress from work at first. Then last week, I was at my mom's house for a family dinner. Laura wasn't feeling well and ended up leaving the table to lie down. My mom asked to check on her, so I went to her room. That's when I saw Jake's jacket on her chair. My heart sank, but I didn't want to jump to conclusions. Later that night, I confronted Jake. After a lot of deflecting and denial, he finally admitted he had been seeing Laura behind my back for the past 2 months. He begged for forgiveness and claimed it was just a mistake. But that wasn't the worst part. Laura came over the next day looking distraught. She confessed that she's pregnant and that Jake is the father. She said she didn't mean for this to happen and that she was sorry. I was devastated and furious. I told both of them that they betrayed me in the worst possible way. My mom is heartbroken too, torn between her daughter and stepdaughter. I mean, you shouldn't even be torn. You have the daughter that you literally birthed out of your cooter and a stepdaughter who got married in. That shouldn't be torn. That should be going immediately to your daughter. Here's where I might be the a-hole. In my anger, I exposed everything on social media. I posted about their affair and the pregnancy, tagging them both. The fallout has been massive. My friends and family are in shock, and Jake and Laura are being shunned and harassed online. They're begging me to take the post down, saying I've ruined their lives. My mom thinks I went too far and should have handled it privately. So am I the a-hole for exposing their affair and pregnancy publicly? I feel like they deserve to be called out for their betrayal, but now I'm second guessing my actions. I just don't know what to do. I'm trying to think, guys, because like earlier I was like, hey, yo, dox the guy for poisoning the dog. And now I'm wondering, is this on the same level? You know what, guys? I think they got what they deserved. Is it maybe a little petty to air out the dirty laundry of the person that you broke up with? Yes. But when you sleep with that person's stepsister and get her pregnant, that's a level of pain I pray to God I never have to experience. No matter if it's too over the line or not, we're gonna give you a hall pass on that one because that's fucking crazy. I'm going with not the a-hole. No matter what, they deserve some sort of punishment. So if this is the punishment, fuck it, whatever. If you're looking for more messy Reddit stories, click the link at the top of the description or click one of the videos popping up on the screen right now. The members of our community love these videos, and I'm sure you will too.